Welcome back to Athletes Lives Network. Exclusive interviews. Today our guest, Ricky Tarver, most valuable player of the 5th annual East Chicago Alumni Association football game. What's going on, Rick?
Nothing much, cuz. What's up?
Nothing, man. Just want to take this opportunity to just get some feedback from you about the our current 5th annual football game, and also, man, ask some questions about who you are and your opinions about who you feel like is some of the best products to come to East Chicago and why you didn't play sports East Chicago Central. So just first of all, just kind of give us a little feedback on who you are, where you from, and born and everything.
Well, actually, I'm from East Chicago, Indiana, and I was born and raised in Calumet and the Harbor. I spent my first couple of years, growing up out there in the Harbor, and then we moved to Calumet, and that's pretty much it.
So, how did you transition from living in the Harbor to Calumet? Because as you know, there is a dividance between the two as far as athletically. Did you play against better competition in Calumet than you had in the Harbor, or what?
Nah, it was equally, to me, it was, because you had just as much talent as you had in Calumet as you did in the Harbor.
Okay. Now, growing up, man, you was a well-rounded athlete. You played football, basketball, baseball. So let's start off with the meat of the sports, which is basketball. What players in basketball in Calumet, when you was growing up, who you want to compete against, and then we can go to the Harbor.
Oh, Calumet, my cousin Big O, Fahim Mobley, Demetrius McFerrin, Martin Dix, Chuck Petty, Trey Morris, Sid King, Shaka, Jontel Jackson, guys like that, man, we played against in our time. Then we had younger guys like Chris Woods, Jobby Gillis, and Rick Wright, Udi, all of those guys.
Now, in the Harbor, what athletes growing up at the time was maybe a little better than you, or who you wanted to play against?
Well, you had Boo Darnell, you had Ronnie Nixon. I don't know if you would classify Elo from the Harbor or whatever, but from the Hunky Town side, you had Troy Akery, Eric Lowe, and then from New Edition, you had Tremel Powell and Larry Harris. And also from the Harbor, you had Cam Rogers, his brother Courtney Rogers, and a couple of other guys, Aaron Stevenson, Anton Glover, guys like that I played against.
Okay. Now, I was lucky enough to be able to transition to both sides of the town, play against different type of talent. What made Calumet basketball different than the Harbor basketball, or was there a difference?
Wasn't no difference to me, man. They all was talented guys, man. You just had to bring it when you came out there. Some of the guys was better than I was, some of the guys was at the same level as I was, and some of the guys was not better than I was.
Yeah. Now to give some feedback on where you played basketball at in your younger years. So what school did you go to when you started playing bitty basketball and grade school ball?
Oh, Kerry Gosh. Played against Fahim, them Kyle Day, Wayne Jackson, Vontae Jones. Like I said, the other guys, Big O, Chuck Petty, Shaka, John Tell, Darnell, and all of those other guys.
All right. So you played 5th and 6th grade at Kerry Gosh?
Yeah.
And then also at Westside with the Westside, correct?
Westside Junior High.
Okay. So what parts of your game improved from playing at both sides of the town? Was it anything improved from when you first started playing to when you got to Central?
Well, from when I first started playing till I got to Central, when you talk to most people, they say, I'm better now as a player than I was back then. But me personally, I think I improved a lot. Being able to play with those guys brought the competitive nature out of you. You know what I'm saying? Because it was either you played against them or you didn't, and they was gonna bring it to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So when you, and that's a real good question. I was going to ask you about that. A lot of people say that you're a better basketball player now in your prime years than you was in high school. Do you feel that's like a slap to your athletic talents, or is it a positive?
I mean, you always want to look at it as a positive, but at the same time, you could look at it as a slap in the face, because a lot of them guys you say that, you got to realistically look at it and say that most of those guys get the chance to play ball like that. Our circumstances are a little different from everybody else.
So what reasons did you not play basketball East Chicago Central? Because it's one of the big mysteries. You're a talented athlete. You can play both football and basketball, but what reason why you did not play sports East Chicago Central?
Man, I chose working over basketball and whatchamacallit. But as far as football, man, I regret not playing it though. And there was some other stuff that went on at our school. Everybody didn't really get a fair trial to actually go out and play basketball because we only had the one school, but you had so much talent. They pretty much already knew who was going to be on the basketball team every year, so a lot of people didn't try out.
So it was more politics than actual true competition.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay. Now, as far as football wise, let's just kind of go into that, because I remember you came out junior year, you went to the tour days, and then we didn't see you no more. What took place?
Like I said before, man, I chose work over playing sports, which I regret now that I did that, because I think the outcome would have been different.
How? What you mean by that? How? What you mean?
Probably would have been, at somebody's school playing ball, man, getting that education, furthering myself instead of having a work history.
Gotcha. Now this year, you played in the 5th annual East Chicago Alumni football game, and you was voted the MVP. Kind of give us your thoughts on that, in the morning, what took place in your mind, and how you feel about being voted the MVP, which is pretty big in our 5th annual.
Yeah, first and foremost, man, I started out with a prayer, making sure everybody asking God to not let anybody get injured or hurt. Second of all, man, just getting out there. I appreciate those guys letting me come out there playing with them, being that I was one of the guys that never played on the football team. And then, them guys playing team ball, we put our heads together and they did their job, and I thought I did mine.
Yeah. You ended up with two touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You had like 2-3 sacks. I mean, you just all over the place, man. So forced fumbles, man. It was a real good time, man. I was excited to play, man, and it was a good turnout. I think this year we had close to 50 players come out.
Yeah.
50 players there, so that was our best turnout that we ever had so far in our alumni game. Give us your thoughts right now. This is one of the big questions I always ask everybody about the best players in school history and the best players in East Chicago in basketball, period, man. But just give me your feedback on who you feel like are some of the best athletes you have ever seen, and basketball first, and also football, if you can.
Well, basketball, man, I really can't judge that because I didn't go to too many Central games. So me saying this guy or that guy, it's not fair to the rest of those guys that actually was competing and, at the top of their game at that time. So I'd rather not, pick a 5 or whatever that is to be, because that's not fair to sit there and say my opinion, and I never really was at those games like that.
Okay. So is there anybody that you can say that was a big influence on the game of basketball in East Chicago? Are there players that you watched on the streets or whatever?
Yeah, I can say Drake Morris, Jim Bradley, Kuzabi, Coop, Marlon Anderson. I think Udi was a good influence. E-Time first and foremost because of what he accomplished. Tony Harris, you had guys like Delmar Johnson, and the list goes on, man. There's a lot of them cats out there, man, that I idolized was Cramp. I would say Cramp and Kuzabi was the guys that I actually like watching play, and Will Puckett, guys like that.
And what made Cramp and Kuzabi and Will Puckett special in your eyes?
Man, the things they could do out there. Not saying the other guys couldn't do that, but it's just the way they did it, and just being some of my favorite players that I like watching playing. Cramp, he was one of the smartest guys to ever touch a basketball from East Chicago, and Kuzabi, his style of play and what he came from and how great he turned out to be. And Will Puckett, man, he was like watching another Magic Johnson.
Yeah. So just watching basketball, street-wise, whatever, who you feel like is probably the best player you ever seen that had the most influence of the city of East Chicago? I mean, regardless of where they went to college, if they played in high school, whatever.
Most influence?
Yeah.
I would have to say Eton Moore. He accomplished the most, man. I mean, look where he is now.
Yeah.